So that big animal path that we saw those leopard tracks leave on cuts sort of directly south. We're going to hope that that male leopard pops out here. So while we continue on to track this male leopard, we are going to pass you on to James and see what he's been up to for the first bit of drive. So have a fantastic time with Jamesy, and we'll be back with you a little later.
Welcome everybody to Jiga. You might be able to see that my lips are struggling to move. I think it's about minus 20 degrees centigrade here, which is probably about minus 400 Fahrenheit. We're just having a look at the sunrise here. So I'm going to ask Phil to pan over to it there. And there you can see the great African sun, or in fact the sun of all of us, not just Africa, popping up behind that beautiful marula tree on the crest. Welcome to the drive. It's very good to have you along. It's been a chilly morning, but it's very clear and crisp, and I think that cold front has probably left us, so we're just left with the remnants of the winter here. That's a lovely shot. We've got Phil on camera at the back. Phil is trussed up with all manner of different kind of warming implements. He damaged his knee the other day, and so he's got a fairly astonishing array of medical equipment on his knee too. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Any comments, we love to hear from you. Hashtag Safari Live or questions@wildearth.tv. We've come out to the far eastern boundary this morning to see if we can't find a sign of either the Nkuhuma Pride or some of the males from the south coming in. There were reports of them heading this way last night. So far we haven't found them or any sign of them. We've been following the tracks of a big bull elephant up this cut line, but we also haven't seen him. Had a couple of impala and a few kudus, but that is about it in the way of mammal life. So we're going to head up, slowly move up this road, see if we can't find any evidence of the lions coming in. I know the lions were definitely around a dam just to the north of us earlier last night, and we're just hoping they may have come across tonight. I'm not sure. If you just listen quietly. You hear a turtle dove calling. That's what I wanted you to hear. That's the bearded woodpecker doing his territorial tap. He's found a hollow branch and he's making his territory known to all the others around the place. Right, so we're going to head off slowly up the road here. Keep checking if we can see any tracks, especially of the lions. You may be able to see, Phil, if you focus on the road just above us, in front of us, you can see on the left-hand side there, you come down a bit, there we go, yeah. You can see some elephant tracks there, a big bull elephant. He's come up here sometime during the morning. I did find a pile of his dung, which didn't seem to be steaming any longer. So it's probably from sort of more last night than it is from early this morning. But Let us live in hope. Also tracks of a honey badger going up the road. I believe the irascible Brent is chasing up some leopards and lion, at least hyena drag marks. Sounds very exciting. So then any luck he'll find them. Rather like the sunset. I never get bored of the sunrise. It's always such a privilege to see. On the road they're full. Naturally disappearing into the bush. That is the Coqui Franklin. It's the most beautiful Franklin we get, I think. Try and just get a little bit closer. There he goes. He knows he's being followed, you see. That head is impossibly gold. He's the smallest little Franklin we get here. Not much of a meal for any predator. Some dove tracks on top of the elephant, so it's unlikely that the elephant was too recently. There's generally rolling hills with the odd koppie, which is a rocky outcrop. And that's a really nice view down over the rolling hills of the Lowveld. Off to the mountains in the far west. I can see the final control from here. Just give Nikki a quick wave. And Eugene, the inimitable Eugene, returned from space safely yesterday via parachute, having fixed whatever technical difficulties there were. That's a really pretty sight, that. Good place to sit and have a morning coffee. Unfortunately, we need to find some animals, so we won't have too much coffee just yet. Lowveld here, which means low land, is about between 300 and 450 meters above sea level. Not entirely sure how many feet that is. I can see something down there. I don't know what it is. I think it's a tree stump. It is, in fact, a tree stump. Fascinating. Fascinating tree stump. We'll probably not tarry too long here. So about 12, let's call it 12 to 1,400 feet. And Ohio. Welcome to the morning safari, and thank you very much for your questions. A good one. A lot of people think that the genet, small spotted and large spotted we get here, look like cats, and they do superficially look like cats, but they're not. Something running across the road there. Unfortunately, not being chased by a pack of wild dogs. Deb, to get back to your question, superficially genets look like cats, absolutely. But they are not, they are, as you surmised correctly, related to mongoose rather than to the cat family. So it's an entirely different family called the Viveridae. And in the Viveridae, we have the civet, and all the mongooses. Apparently, they're actually more closely related. The viverids are more closely related to hyenas than any other carnivore we have here. Question from Japan, which is excellent news. Great stuff. I'm going to attempt to pronounce your name. I have no doubt I'll get it wrong. Tatsuya, that's how we've got it here. I hope that's correct. If not, feel free to tell us it's not. You'd like to know, how do sort of prey animals detect their predators? Do they do it with what senses are they most important? The answer is all the senses, or certainly the main three. They use sight. Animals here have got very acute hearing, and they've also got very acute olfactory or smelling senses, and they use all of them dependent on the conditions of the day. So if you're a kudu and you want to avoid being murdered by a lion, and you live in quite thick bush and it's a windy day, you're going to use your ears extensively. But if the wind's blowing too strongly, you're going to use smell and sight more, because the sound will obviously be made difficult by the wind. Great question. Keep them coming from Japan. Saying about the height of the land, very ancient sea this used to be, the Lowveld, and the result of that has been that a lot of the rock in the area has been weathered, so the soils, I think, many areas are quite deep, sandy, fairly nutrient poor. Arriving at Buffelshoek Waterhole, where with any luck there will be a great bevy of interesting things to see. It would seem that things are not very thirsty this morning, except our poor lonely hippo. I do feel rather sorry for him. There's just our lonely little hippo, and he's in the water, which is a testament to the amount of blubber he must have on his body. He's coming into shot now. Lying forlornly in the cold, green, greasy water here. Every time I come here, I hope that there'll be a friend for him or something like that, but he's ubiquitously alone, lying in the water. And it's not warm this morning. I'm guessing at about 8 degrees centigrade, which probably puts us at around 48 degrees Fahrenheit. And so to go for a swim this morning, you'd have to be stark raving insane, or fairly well oiled with vodka. and Scandinavian, of course. But that hippo has a tremendous amount of blubber on his body, and difficult for them to lay that down because they don't, they eat grass only, so it's not like they eat a diet rich in fat at all. And I suspect that's why they do so little. They spend an enormous amount of time doing absolutely nothing. And the reason for that is that it's a tremendously energy efficient way of living, so that when they come out of the grass, at least come out of the water at night to feed on the grass, they obviously don't have to eat a huge amount compared with something like a rhino. And I believe they eat roughly half the amount that a rhino does. And that's because their energy needs are that much smaller. And they spend a great deal of time doing nothing. Right, well, I think we'll leave this unfriendly and fairly lonely old fellow to himself and see what else we can see.
From the power line, so if you want to do that, and then I'll just double check all these lines.
I think we're going to go back out onto the northern boundary there so that I can have a look and see if any of the tracks have come out still. I don't want to go too far into the central areas without checking what may or may not have come out. Kathy Ward in Tennessee, thank you for your question. You'd like to know, what is a civet? Well, a civet, Kathy, is a viverrid. It looks a little bit like a cat. I wonder if I've got a little picture. I'll try and find you a picture. But it isn't a cat. It's like a sort of, looks like a mix between a cat and a dog, really. Black with and white with spots, and knocks about on the ground during the day, at least during the night, and in the mornings will probably go into a burrow somewhere. I'll show you a picture. It's about the size of how big is it? It's about the size of a sort of Staffordshire Bull Terrier, if you like, that sort of size. And really does look like a mixture between a cat and a dog. I'll find you a wee picture quickly. Let me just remove the mitten part of this glove. That is a civet there. And you get a few different kinds of civets around the world. The only one we get here is called the African civet. Looks a bit like a raccoon, I suppose. And it'll eat anything. It's got a fairly omnivorous diet. It'll eat various bits and pieces. And then there's one other that looks... it's not related at all to a raccoon, no. And then the tree civet is another one that you get in Africa, which is not pictured here. And the tree civet is a similar looking species that climbs trees, funnily enough. That's why it's called a tree civet. And there are also civets that you get in Asia. And unfortunately, they have copped a horrible beating from poachers who use their pelts for various kind of sort of exotic clothing. So that is the civet. Civetta civetta. our selfless zoomies. That is, for those of you who don't know, that is somebody who helps us to monitor the waterhole cameras that we've got. Her handle is Siberia Zoomy. Hello, Siberia Zoomy. You asked an interesting question, and I'm not sure that I know the answer to. Well, I know the answer to the question, but I didn't know about the reasons for your question. You spoke about how an algal bloom of blue-green algae a little while back in some of the waterholes caused some sort of lung disease in a few of the animals. I had heard nothing about that, I'm afraid. But that's very interesting. And you want to know, as a result of that, do the owners regulate the amount of algae in their waterholes? The answer is absolutely not. Nobody does any form of regulation like that. It's purely letting nature take its course.
They didn't. He walked maybe 4 steps, turned around, and then came back north again. And now he's done the exact same thing again. I've actually found where he's turned around. I was checking where he went off the road. He went off the road right here. And then there's some impala over there. And they started alarm calling. It was difficult to see whether they were alarm calling at me walking or at possibly the leopard who was lying very close to them. So I'm just going to go check this big termite mound here off the road. You never know. So the impala were just over there. I was walking over here, and then the first alarm call went, and what might have happened is that the leopard might have seen me and sat up on the termite mound or something like that and given away his position. Just going to have a quick look, because if I was a leopard, after a cold night like that, and I might think about stopping on a termite mound just like that one to catch the morning sun. Aubrey coming? Those ones that turned around again, came back south for a short while, and then head sort of southeast into the block towards Shortcut. I heard some Marlow alarming in the block. I'm just checking one big Shadulu here, and then I'll move around again towards Shortcut. Okay, Colby, thanks very much, Aubrey. So, Aubrey's been helping me work these tracks. He's gone around the other side. Unfortunately, Orbs has found the tracks crossing our northern boundary to the east of us. So, it seems like we're a bit late this morning. Quite interesting though, it seems like this male leopard is following in the inverse direction this drag mark of the hyenas. So maybe he's looking to see if there's a female that this was stolen from. And now that I see this drag mark further and further, I possibly think that it might have been a different hyena argument and growls we heard around the dam on the camera. So I'm definitely going to go back and have another look there, because we're probably about 2.5 or 3 kilometers now from the dam, and I don't know if we'd be able to hear. I don't think we would have been able to hear that from the dam. So maybe, fingers crossed, there's something else happening down there. But I'll show you now. a look now where I haven't driven yet. It's a bit more difficult to see here. But you can see, if Andrew shows on the side of the road there, you can see there's that drag mark still going. So as I was saying earlier, I mean, this, as the drag mark, just what I can see of it so far, is already over 2 kilometers long. Well, that's how it works in the bush. Can't win them all. So I'm definitely going to go follow up on those other hyena we heard, that you guys might have heard during the night closer to the dam. See if there's any tracks there. These tracks did come from down at the dam, so maybe it's been an unlucky night for leopards with their kills being stolen by hyenas. Hi, Kathy. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Kathy is wondering what most of the places here heat with. Is it gas or electricity? Well, Kathy, even though it is really cold in the mornings when you're out in an open vehicle, this part of South Africa is very, very warm for the majority of the year. I mean, we will probably get up to around 25, maybe even a bit higher, even up to 30 degrees Celsius some days in the winter. So it is chilly at night, but by no means cold. So most people might have an electric heater or a fireplace. We don't really have many gas. Oh no, now what? Just to confuse me more, there's tracks of a female leopard here. Also on top of the drag mark. Coming away. Let me just have a quick look at what's going on here. So this is proving to be quite an interesting morning of tracking. Just because there's quite a lot going on. You've got the drag mark, you've got a male leopard following the drag mark. Now we've got a female leopard going in the opposite direction. So I'm just going to have a quick look. If you guys see me, it's an old habit I do, is I drag my foot behind the base of the track. And that's when you're working with another person, so they know you're still on the track and they can check to see if the tracks have veered off in another direction. But in this case, it helps you to show what's going through my mind while I am looking at tracks, so you can see where I'm marking with my foot that I know I'm still on the female tracks. And I didn't see the female tracks further down there, so I'm just going to have a quick look to see if she jumped off very close by. Just listening for a second. If not, then I think she might have headed down towards the dam. So, interesting times. she's done what I thought she might have done, and she's headed down that animal path there. So we're going to go check round down to the next road. Fingers crossed that her tracks pop out. I heard James is also following up on female leopard tracks, so I'm just going to give him a call to make sure we're not working the same set of tracks. James coming? James, apparently you're also following up, I was following male leopard, they've crossed north, but now I'm on female leopard tracks. Confirm which area you've got the other female leopard tracks in. Welcome back. We've decided to come check those hyena dens, and there's no sign of the drag marks coming out here. The last drag mark was sort of about 900 meters to my north here. So we're going to start down here at the Philemon's Dip den site. So I'm just checking very carefully. Doesn't look like anything's being dragged in here yet, but always worth a squiz. Doesn't mean no one's at home. Remember, the adults quite often will maybe lie off to the side somewhere. And cold morning like this, I think they'll be looking for some sunshine. James was on Gallagher shortcut, heading sort of south towards the drainage behind Gallagher camp. Just checking very carefully. But I'm not seeing anything, but there definitely looks like there's been some new movement. There's quite a lot of tracks around. So we left those female leopard tracks heading south from Gallagher shortcut towards Gurry Dam. So I know James is around that area, and he's going to check there for me while we try to see if we can find what the story is with these hyenas. I was pretty confident we were going to find a hyena here. Listen, see if we can hear anything. But we can definitely see there's been some usage and lots of fresh tracks around this den. Maybe we're a little bit late. Gone to bed already. Been a busy night. Nope. No one at home here. But just judging from the amount of activity around here, I think this is the active den at the moment. Okay. The search continues. So I'm going to head back towards the area where I last had a drag mark to see where it goes. And in the meantime, we're going to cross across to James, who is, I'm sure, doing his level best to try to find those leopard tracks again, and maybe show you something to do with a little installation. So over to James, and we'll be back a little later on the safari.
So there, welcome back again. A short stop with Brent, who I believe went to a hyena den, and the hyenas had gone back inside it. Sorry about that. Here we've got two young impala ewes, and they're all fluffed up there. Not often you associate an antelope with a teddy bear, but they've fluffed out their skins because it's such a chilly morning. And they're able to do that, to trap air underneath the hair. And what that means is that they don't have to grow a long, shaggy winter coat, which is energetically very expensive to do. They've evolved a strategy to stay warm without having to grow too much more of a coat. So for those of you who are perhaps unfamiliar with the strategy, what it is that they manage to sort of lift. Oh, isn't that a lovely sound? That's a bearded woodpecker just close by. He's found an excellent drum to play on. So what they do is they lift the hair off their back slightly, and what that does is it traps air underneath it, and that seems to hold quite a lot more heat inside, and so they can maintain their body temperatures. It's very unusual to have them so close to us. I mean, they're not. When we stopped here, she was about probably just 20 meters or 10 meters away. And for an impala, not normally that confiding, so it's quite nice to have these two here. I don't know why they're on their own like this. Normally at least 6 or 7 of them. But it's so often that we just drive past them and don't appreciate how lovely they really are. Dainty legs, incredibly fast, unbelievable ability to jump. And you can see this impala is grazing and eating leaves and browsing. And half of what makes them so successful is that they can eat just about anything. Smiles, you want to know, very good question, thank you for it. You would like to know how it is that I can tell the difference between a woodpecker's territorial tap and whether he's looking for food. Smiles, the bearded woodpecker is the only woodpecker out here that makes a territorial tap. And when they're feeding, the tapping is much less regular and much softer. The bearded woodpecker there will find a hollow piece of hard wood, so an old lead wood possibly, so it'll be hollow so that it can be used as a sort of drum, and then they'll bash that noise out so that everyone else can hear it around the place. It's a dead, hollow tree, so it's highly unlikely there'd be anything on it that would be worth eating. And so what you'll find is that the other if the bearded woodpecker is trying to eat, they'll normally be fossicking underneath the bark of a tree and just drilling away small pieces, and they do that very softly. You can hear them do it, but it's nothing like that noisy drumming on a specifically selected hollow tree. Good question. I really enjoy impalas. Susan, you ask an excellent question, and thank you for it. You want to know, when we're looking for predators and we find a herd of impala like this, are we happy because we think maybe the predator might be stalking them, or are we unhappy because they look so relaxed? The answer is, the animals here are they're so wary that normally it's a sense of, if they're relaxed, it's unlikely something's around. But that's probably wrong. But the number of predators to prey, obviously the ratio is far skewed towards the prey. So there are far more impala than there are leopard in the area. And so when you see a whole herd of relaxed impala, it's kind of unlikely that there's a leopard stalking, but it's certainly not impossible. And it's possibly a mental bias we have, that we see relaxed impala and we think, oh, well, there can't be anything around. It's probably not necessarily correct. So very good question. All right, we're going to leave these impala and head off down the road, continue. I'm going to actually change my route slightly. I'm going to go back towards the dam and then take another route. I think I heard a leopard calling in the distance. I can't be entirely sure, but that's the sort of direction we're going to head. Okay. For excitement and beautiful animals. Bye, chaps. Watch out. Can we just look at this leadwood tree here? So this is an old leadwood, and this is the kind of tree that a bearded woodpecker would bash out his territorial call on. And it's unlikely that there'd be anything worth eating in that tree because it's dead, and so there's no, there's not much for an insect to eat. And also, for a woodpecker, the other thing a woodpecker does is drill a hole in a tree to live in. And it's unlikely that they do it in a tree like this because the wood is extremely hard, and they're much easier places for a woodpecker to try and find a place to drill a hole. It's extremely dense, that wood. It's excellent firewood. Mostly it just makes excellent decoration, in the bush especially. see it there? There's a raptor's nest there, and it's always amazed me. I don't know what this one is. I suspect, I haven't seen a bird in it, so what I suspect is that it's a Wahlberg's eagle's nest that has been abandoned for the course of the winter, and they'll come back in the summer and reuse it. I might be wrong. If any of you know what that is, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, though. They're like knobthorn trees. It's sort of... A lot of the raptors build in knobthorn trees, and I suspect it's got something to do with the fact that the thorns slightly discourage snakes from going up, but not that much. But it always amazes me how incredibly uncomfortable they look. If I was a small chick born into this harsh world, I'd hope for a slightly softer landing than a couple of spiky sticks to lay me head on. A very interesting question from Lucas. Lucas, I'd love to know where you're from in the world. So if you could send through, tell us where you're from, and give me a bit. It'll give me more of an idea of how to answer this, but I'm going to answer it anyway. There are a number of things in South Africa that we tend to consider delicacies or some form of traditional food that people in other parts of the world are astonished by. Before I get onto the biltong, Lucas asked specifically about biltong. And if you don't know what that is, in the States it's called jerky. It's beef jerky. And it used to be sort of a trail riding food that a cowboy who was out for months or weeks on end would eat as a last resort kind of food. And South Africa tends to be something of a delicacy. I enjoy it very much, I must say. But the other sort of odd thing that South Africans tend to eat that no one else in the world eats is a rusk. Now, a rusk basically is, I think its origins are as a stale form of sweet bread, basically, with a consistency of leadwood, so that it is impossible to consume unless you have dipped it thoroughly in whatever hot beverage you're drinking. And you better hope that beverage is really hot, because if it isn't, not even the liquid will get through the rusk. The Italians came up with something a bit more sophisticated and easier to eat called a biscotti, but the rusk comes from, I think, the Great Trek, if I'm not mistaken, where the Boers were traveling about the place in their ox wagons and weren't availed of much in the way of kitchens. And so they made this kind of dense, hard, stale, sweet bread. And that's what they kind of nibbled on throughout the day. Now, I don't think it's much surprise that most of them had lost their teeth by the time they were put in the ground. But biltong is a slightly more impressive South African tradition, and certainly I think it's come a long way since the days of the Great Trek, and it's now spiced and really nicely prepared. So we eat quite a lot of it here. While I rattle on about the culinary oddities that are South Africa. Brent has some very exciting news, so we're going to cross quickly across to him.
Welcome back, guys. I just got a report from the guys in Arathusa that the wild dogs have made a kill right in front of the lodge. So I'm trying to get there as fast as possible at the moment, so just hang on. I nearly lost Andrew a couple of times on these big Arathusa bumps, but we're nearly there. Nearly there. So we've just arrived in the nick. Apparently, I think we're a little late. They've already killed the impala. But Andrew, just have a quick look. There's a hippo playing King of My Castle off to the right. We are now popsicles from the speed we have traveled to get here. But we are here, and that's what counts. Thank you! So they've just moved off after killing the impala. There's somewhere around us. So, eyes open, Andrew. The last one just disappeared as we arrived. Can't see. See? Keeping a careful lookout. Hey, firm. Copy, thanks. So Doug's staying with us. He's checking down there. We're going to check here. I can't see any tracks on the road. We're giving our eyes peeled. Could have been running down this big path here. I'm just going to check this road up ahead. Negative. Copy, thanks. Checking these big animal parts. Copy, I'm heading up that way now. So the general direction seems to be east towards the airstrip. I'm not sure which pack it is yet. As soon as we find them, we can try to figure out what's going on, who they are. Whether it's the big half-tail pack or the smaller Investec pack that we saw a couple of days ago. don't think they've gone this far. I've got no tracks, so we're going to loop back. I've gone to quite a thick area. I'm hoping they're just gonna appear around the corner. Well, we are starting to thaw out slightly after our high-speed race to get here. Come on, Andrew, where those eagle eyes? I think they've gone further south, so we're gonna zoom out of here, away from this drainage line. Negative, Doug. I've relocated just at the pump house. I've got just that looks like the alpha female. She's on that road. I'm not sure what the road is that comes past the pump house. So, guys, we found them. It looks at a very pregnant female, but again, I can only see one now. I'm just gonna have to try to stick with her. She looks like she's lost the pack. You can see how red her face is there. They've just made a kill. But when they are like this, they can kill more than once in the morning. So we're definitely going to stick with them. So guys, you're gonna have to hang on. Oh, no, we're not gonna get through there. She's gone into a really thick Tamboti thicket. There's no chance of us being able to drive through there. So I'm gonna try and get around. I think the best option is to go around. So obviously over the camera the speed we're traveling looks a lot faster than it really is, but the thing is, with an animal like wild dogs, you have to keep up with them. As you can see, we just had that brief glimpse. Now she's gone to an area we can't follow, and I'm going to try and get around to see if the rest of the pack's not maybe come through here. She is heading sort of in a southerly direction. I'm going to see now. Louis coming. Yeah, Louis, she went into those Tumbuti thickets heading south on the edge of the drainage. I've gone back to the driveway. I'm going to try stand by and see if she comes out again. Copy, thanks very much. Thanks.
Tiger just ran across the road.
I saw that there's just a bunch of alarm calls here. This is more or less the line we lost her in. So a quick squiz in here where those squirrels are alarm calling. Hi, Brenda from Virginia. Welcome on quite an exciting sunrise safari. Brenda would like to know, can you hear them feeding? Or do they usually drag the kill away? Well, Brenda, they don't. They have quite a different method. You can hear them feeding. You hear a whole bunch of high-pitched giggles and squeaks, almost. Not so much giggles as high-pitched squeaks. Just trying to get into here quickly, Brenda. And when they feed, they actually sort of engulf. They eat very quickly, and even a small pack of 5 or 6 individuals can finish a whole impala in under 10 minutes. A big pack of sort of 10 or so will finish a whole impala in under 5 minutes. I'm just going to turn off and listen for a second. Sometimes when they get separated, they do this really, well, I find it very pretty. It's called a who call to each other to try to figure out whether. Just hang on, sorry. Sorry, last station, go again. Copy, thanks. I cannot relocate on that single Madasha. I'd like to join you there. Copy, thanks. So the rest of the pack's been spotted just over there. So it looks like that the female got separated. And as I was saying, they do this very, very cool. I find it very pretty. Are we behind us, Andrew? Call when they. Which is they call it a woo call, and that's to contact each other. And it goes, I'll try to do my best impression of it now. Let me just get out of this little drainage line. And off we go. And that call is the woo call goes. that quite often when they have been separated, and that's their contact call so they can find each other. Again, guys, sorry about the speed, but if we don't move, the chances of seeing those animals again are very, very slim. No, negative. Let's go this way. It'll be faster. So you just go at which junction on Zebra Drive again? Sorry. On the airstrip. Copy, thanks. Sorry about this, guys. They're moving again, so change direction. Oh, I'm gonna get really big arms from this morning. Marianne from Boston. I hope you're holding on tight. Marianne would like to know, she read somewhere that wild dogs are the most efficient hunters and are the most humane at killing their prey. Sure, Marianne, that's an interesting one. A lot of people actually consider it the opposite. I'm not so sure. They are by far the most efficient hunters we see out here. Lion, leopard, all have a range of between sort of 12 and 20% success rates at hunts, whereas wild dogs in certain areas can go over 80%. So 8 out of 10 times that they chase something, they catch it. Where lion, 1.5 out of 10 times that they chase something, they catch it. And wild dogs have got quite a brutal method of killing. This is where we saw that female, so they've changed direction and gone that way now. So they basically just latch on and quite often will start ripping off chunks of flesh when the animal's still alive. There's a lot of discussion on whether those animals go into shock quite quickly, so maybe they're not feeling anything at that stage already. But it is a debate. We always think of things as sort of humane or not humane, but we must remember this is the wild. So things that we might not consider humane are natural, and that's just the way nature works, unfortunately. And sometimes it's quite difficult for us to see, but it is nature taking its course. So they're somewhere around here now. I'm just trying to not throw Andrew off on these large pumps. Chris, welcome on Sunrise Safari. Chris would like to know how far can wild dog travel in a day? Incredible distances, Chris, 20 kilometers plus. They have massive home ranges. I'm going to be back with you guys in a second. I just need to use the Game Bound radio. I'm on Zebra Drive. I can see someone Gonzo heading off-road. Confirm that with you. Okay, copy, I've got the visual, thank you. Here we go, we found them again. Exciting times now. See how difficult it is to follow wild dogs. They change direction constantly and they move at such speed through the bush. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So looks like it is possibly the Investec pack with that pregnant female that we just saw. Wait, how many are there? Oh, isn't that amazing? No, this is a big pack. There's more than 5. This could be half-tail pack. They're all greeting now. They've just reunited. So obviously they got split. And now there's very big greeting ceremonies and reuniting. Oh, one got a fright. There we go, there's a tiny piece of meat there. Looks like they might have even made a second kill while we've been running around. So, incredibly social animals. One of the most social animals and very interesting habits. And they're one of the only animals apart from human beings that put the young higher on the social hierarchy than other animals, which is an incredible thing. And for those of you who knew, we are sitting live with the second most endangered canid in Africa. There are only estimated a maximum of about 4,500 left in the wild, and there's probably about between 400 and 500 in the greater Kruger area, which is one of the few viable breeding populations left. And even though they've already killed an impala this morning, a big pack like this, I think it is the half-tail pack, can often kill 2 to 3 animals in a morning or in an afternoon. And we're going to try and keep with them, but following them through the bush sometimes can be quite difficult. So beautiful, beautiful markings. This is by far my most favorite animal, the African wild dog or painted wolf. The Latin name is Lichen pictus, which basically translated directly means painted wolf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if this is the half-tail pack, 8. There should be about 14 or 15 if I remember correctly. The alpha female is still not present, so that's maybe why they're not moving off so quickly. And if we're lucky, they might start doing some of that wonderful woo calling I was chatting about a little bit earlier. And it's not unusual for the dog packs to get split up when they're hunting and chasing things, because they move at such incredible pace. Standing by. Over him, I'll try to stick with him. Copy, thank you very much. Is there any other stations connected in the area? I'm going to try my best to keep with them, but it can be quite difficult. Head. They're heading sort of northwest through the block from Zebra Drive. Trying to stay with them. here we go. This is when it gets interesting. Has he seen something that looks like ears up, heads up? Oh no, not into the monkey orange thickets. We're trying our best to stay with them. Still got them to slow down again a bit. Thankful for me. They changed direction again. Hold on. Oops. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to concentrate on staying with them for the moment. This is quite interesting what they're doing. What are they? They're checking out old burrows and stuff here. So this is very interesting behavior. They could be looking for a den site with how heavily pregnant that female is now. You can see this one off to the left here. Andrew's actually got its head down in a hole. And they're possibly checking for suitable den sites. So with wild dogs, only the alpha pair breed. And the rest of the pack, their entire existence is bringing those puppies to adulthood. And they will regurgitate for them. Hopefully don't fall into a hole. There's too many holes around here. And you keep an eye on them while I've got my eyes off. Okay. Just gonna try to find a way that I'm not going through all those aardvark excavations are, because then we could get stuck. I don't like leaving the dogs or being too far away from them, especially in this type of bush. So you can see they've changed direction. They've literally gone north, south, east and west since we've been with them. And this is what makes them so difficult to track and to stay with. Well, thanks very much, George Ann from Illinois. He says Halftail's 13 and we've got 8 here. So they still excavate. There's a lot of aardvark excavations here that they're checking out. And as I said, they've now just changed direction again and are running back east. No time for photography when you're following wild dogs. Also, one of the interesting things, you got to try park in a manner that you can turn around quickly in case they do change direction again, which they just have. Hi, 23 Skidoo, welcome. Following African wild dogs live through the African bush on Arathusa Private Game Reserve. 23 Skidoo would like to know whether it's true that wild dogs often start feeding on their prey while they're still alive. That is very true, Skidoo. They do. And that's why quite often it's been considered that wild dogs are very brutal. And in the old days, can you believe it, when they founded the Kruger National Park, not only wild dogs, but lions and hyenas and all predators were shot on sight by the rangers to protect all the zebras and impalas and things. So it's amazing how times have changed, and we now aim to conserve these incredible predators. Trying to get through here again, there's quite a few holes. Gap, where's the gap? Hi, Joan from Park Kansas. Joan would like to know who are the main predators of the African wild dog. Joan, basically all other predators, but basically the biggest threat to wild dogs from other animals is lions. Lions kill quite a lot of wild dogs. And wild dogs are not big fans of lions for that very reason. So, still can't see if the whole pack is. Yeah, it's quite difficult. They're very spread out through the brush. Let's see how many you can count, Andrew. I've got it. Most I've got so far is 8. But I haven't seen the alpha female. Again, since we had that first brief visual of her. Taking me through some terrible bush this morning. Why don't you guys like running down roads? Again. Hi, Brenda from Virginia. Welcome on a very exciting wild dog sighting that we're just trying to stay with them. Brenda would like to know whether that alpha female, the first one we saw by herself, looked pregnant. Yes, Brenda, very heavily pregnant. I'm guessing she's going to drop cubs in the next couple of weeks, and it's always an exciting time. And we're all really keeping our fingers crossed that one of the 2 packs of dogs we see in this area decides to den where we have access to them. Because then we have them literally on tap for a month or so. So I'm going to try to squeeze through this very narrow little gap between the trees. There we go. We've changed direction so many times this morning. I think I might be lost. Nah, just joking. What's your quite kind of them to go out to the road. They are heading towards the road. Give us a little bit of a break from the bundu bashing. I know a lot of you guys get worried that we might be damaging trees or bushes and stuff while we go. When we do drive over them, we try to straddle them, which means that they will pop up after we've driven. We also drive over, we don't ever drive over the slow-growing species or rare species, and fortunately a bit more open around here. And the other thing is that us bashing through the bushes actually probably does less than I've heard of elephants moving through. Fine. And back onto a ramp. The ramp that we started on. So wow. So there they are, they're smelling. Smelling something there that might scent mark. So there is another pack that comes into this area called the Investec pack. It's a much smaller pack. And what's happened is this pack actually killed 2 members of that smaller pack earlier in the year to the south of us. Oh, only giving me a little bit of a chance to breathe. So the Investec pack that we were actually following with James on Juma a couple of days ago, and this is the guessing the half-tail pack being this many number. 6, 7, 8. So 8. There's 5 missing. Sniffies. No, don't. So miraculously, we have managed to avoid flat tires. Unfortunately, our aerial's a bit wobbly, so Andrew is trying to fix that at the moment. Just hoping these dogs don't move off too far. Don't go in there, that's even thicker than where we've just come from. So they're definitely sniffing, and I think the half-tail pack might have been in this area a few days ago. So that's maybe what they're sniffing. Hi, Deb from Ohio. Deb would like to know, are we seeing the same female as we saw the other day, or do both packs have pregnant females? Deb, both packs have pregnant females, so it's a different female. So they're milling on. It's quite possible the other pack scent marked in this area, and that's why there's been quite a prolongated sniffing in this section. Definitely going to try to stay with them, because we might, if they meet up with the other members of the pack, it'll be a really nice greeting ceremony. And as I said, a pack this size will need to kill more than 1 impala a day. So, or hunt. Oh dear. Don't go that way. There we go. So a bit of calm after the pandemonium. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl would like to know, do wild dogs hunt at night? Cheryl, wild dogs are mostly crepuscular. Crepuscular means most active at dusk and dawn, but they have been known to hunt at night as well. It's just normally they hunt dusk and dawn, and on full moon nights they have been known to hunt as well. Sorry, Cheryl, I'm just trying to make sure we don't get left behind again. I can see 4 dogs at the moment, 5. Lots of sniffing going on around here. I just love the colors and the patterns on their coats. If we look at their tails, you've got that nice, very distinct white tip to the tail, or white more than the tip. So when they do kill something, their heads are down and they're eating. Those tails set up as antennas for the other members of the pack to try to bring them in, and they all make those high-pitched giggles and squeaks. There we go. They're literally less than a foot from us now. They run past the vehicle and they reverse. Find a spot to turn.
Yeah, it's good.
Looks like they're going to be slightly more accommodating. No, don't turn. We're just going to stand like this because they're changing direction a bit. We've got one dog. It's better than no dog. Hi, Rena. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Rena would like to know, how many pups does a wild dog normally deliver? Rena, there've been recorded over 20 pups in a single litter, but generally they are big litters because there's a very high mortality rate. So anything from sort of 10 to 20 is not considered abnormal. Don't go into the quarries. Of course you're going to go into the quarries. Hold on, guys. Off we go again. Hello, guys. You know, so if they stick on an elephant path, slightly easier to follow. There is a drainage line coming up that I'm a little bit nervous about if they go into there whether I'm going to be able to stay with them.